All right, so episode 6 of season 2 happened, and it was amazing. Episode 6 was really, really good. But I actually almost, I came very close to not doing a book nerd video for this because I'm on vacation. I was going to use being on vacation as an excuse. But my sister's at work today, and I have like no planned schedule, and so I thought, oh, let me do it. So I collected a bunch of clips. I gotta tell you, that episode, even just collecting the clips for this, I kind of cried a little bit. This episode is gut-wrenching. I will say again, just like I did for the last one, this is very loose. I have no notes. So I just collected clips that I think I have thoughts about this. So I'm going to go through them. No notes. I know in the last one I did like this, by the time I got to the end, and like when I was editing, I was like, oh, I forgot to talk about that. So I'm probably going to miss things because I'm doing this off the cuff. I don't really have time to sit down because taking the notes for the episodes takes a while. And I'm not doing that. Again, I might have time actually today because my sister is at work, but I'm on vacation. I kind of maybe want to, especially after recording this, might want to go for a walk to sort of clear my head. But yeah, so that's what I want to say. Also, book spoilers. I'm going to probably be talking through to the end of the series. So if you don't want to be spoiled for the story of the Wheel of Time, not a safe video to watch. So yeah, and also as I have been doing and will continue to do until the situation is resolved. Ooh, let's get it up here. I encourage you to support the WGA and SAG-AFTRA. I have heard that it is likely that the WGA may have a deal. They haven't yet. They are still on strike as of the recording of this video. But they might have a deal, and then we still, of course, have the actors. If you can, please consider donating to the Entertainment Community Fund or the SAG-AFTRA Foundation, both of which have links in the description below. They are supporting the writers and the actors and other industry professionals who are not working right now because filming is shut down, and so people just aren't earning income. So if you can, like I said, links in the description below. Let's get into this.
Let's be nerdy with Let's Be Nerdy. Let's be nerdy with Let's Be Nerdy.
All right, so they do not pull any punches in this episode right from the beginning. They begin with dragging Egwene in by the leash that, people were worried there wasn't going to be a leash because we didn't see leashes in the season finale of season 1. So there definitely is a leash. They just don't use it all the time, which actually makes sense because having a leash, like having actual strings between people during battle, which is what the Damani are often used for, it just seems like that would be a hazard. People would be tripping a lot. So having a leash, even just looking at it, just while I'm recording, it's brutal. The reason I pulled this clip though is something I did want to talk about is I really do appreciate how the show is really showing the brutality of the Damane and the Soldam and just this institution of slavery. It is there in the books, but it is not emphasized. Like, it's one of those things where I know I read this and knew it was horrifying. And every single time I would do a reread, up until recently when I verbalized this. So now that I've verbalized it, it doesn't hit me as much. Whenever I would do a reread, it would shock me how short this is in the book. It is covered in a couple of chapters at the end of one book. In my mind, until I realized this, it spans several books because it's horrifying and it is prolonged. In the books, if you put 2 and 2 together, like they never actually say how long it is, but Egwene loses track of Rand in the dream a little bit before they leave. And then, so that is assumed that when she loses track of him in the dream, that's when they're portal stoning and he's going through Flicker. We know Flicker took about 4 months. So after she loses track of Rand in the dream, a couple of days or weeks after that, they start going through the ways to get to Falma with Liandrin. And so an estimate of how long Egwene is enslaved, 2 months, 3 months, maybe close to 4. It's a very long time that she is in this situation. And they hint, like we know that Rena makes her think she was put in boiling water. Like, it's brutal, but it is always off screen. And the reason I appreciate this being highlighted and emphasized is that there is a significant portion of the fandom that completely forgets this trauma of hers. all of the bad behavior, all of the missteps, all of the mistakes made by Rand are, well, he was traumatized. He was put in a box and he's going, everything, like his trauma exonerates all of his behavior. But everybody forgets that Egwene went through something equally bad, if not worse. Like, this is ultimately dehumanizing, and I need to move on to the next scene because I can't keep watching this. So Egwene tries to punch Rhaena and she can't. She literally can't even land a punch. There's like some sort of magical shield around Rhaena that stops her from landing the punch. This is a change from the books. In the books, she can totally land the punch once it's on, but she feels it. She feels it twice, which Rhaena does say here, any pain that the Soldan feels, the Damani will feel twice over, even unto death. I don't remember if the numbers are exactly the same, but that is true. I do think this is a smart change for the show, though. Like I said, it is a change because in the books, Egwene would have been able to land that punch. It just would have hurt her more than it hurt Rhaena. I think this is a smart change for the show because showing her land the punch would have, I imagine a lot of viewers thinking, well, just keep punching her. I don't care how much it hurts you. And I would actually agree with that. I would think that Egwene would be the type who would be like, well, I don't care how much it hurts me. I want to hurt her. I need to punish her for what she's doing, or she needs to feel the weight of what she's doing. I don't care what it does to me. I actually think that Egwene would do that. So I think it's a smart change that the show made here to the way the Adam, what are they saying in the show? Adam or Adam? It's Adam. I am going to get over this. It is a made up word, so it doesn't matter. Whatever they're saying in the show. I think it's a smart change to how that magical device works. Oh, I don't really have any book thoughts on this, except it grossed me out. That smile that Rhaena has of, I am Rhaena. Like, it's this very maternal, like, it is pet and owner. Like, she's trying to basically break an unruly pet. And it's gross. It's just gross. And again, that is in the books, that they treat their damane like dogs. I do wonder if we are going to get Rhaena trying to change Egwene's name to Tuli. This whole thing, I have so many clips from it, and I don't know how much I'm going to be able to talk about it without breaking, because I don't like it. They aren't specific here with the punishment. Like, it's just pain. Again, I think that's a smart choice for the show. Just pain is enough. We don't need to know, like, oh, it's whips hitting her, or she thinks she's being lowered into boiling water, or nettles. We don't need to know that. The pain is enough. And yeah, and like this visualization of the link between them, I think that's a really smart choice. It looks like a leash. I'm going to keep talking about smart choices here. This choice for how the prohibition to touching the Adam, whatever the thing that the Soldan wears, works in the show. In the books, it's different. She feels nausea, and I have to tell you, as somebody, I occasionally get vertigo. And if you've ever had vertigo, I get something called BPPV, which is benign proximal positional vertigo. Vertigo for no reason. And I get nauseous. Like, the world is spinning and the world feels unstable, and I get nauseous. And the longest it's ever lasted is days, and I'm knocking on wood right now because I hate it. I hate it more than, I would rather have pain than feel that level of nausea and be unable to do anything about it. Like, it won't go away. So when they talk about it in the books as like nausea that you feel like that racks your belly, you can't stop it without moving away from the Adam, whatever. I understand it and I feel it, and it resonates with me in a very, very visceral way, because it's an experience that I have. But I don't think you can show that really on the show. Like, she would just be vomiting. It doesn't really look like anything. So this is good. And I just have to give props to Madeline Madden here. It looks painful. Like, what she's doing with her body, the contortions in her hand. I don't know if there's special effects added or if that's all her. Whatever they've done, it's awful. And I'm just going to move on to this. Something light, like one of the Forsaken, tormenting the Dragon Reborn. I mean, look at her. Look at this outfit. I'm going to move because I want to look at her some more. I can't get myself over. Here we go. Yeah, look at her. She's my sister and I were watching the show, and I just kept calling her, I think I was using the phrase unsettlingly attractive. And this outfit, it works for me. It does. It just does. Okay, so here she is basically, the symbolism of Rand tied to the wheel, it's great. It's very, very thematic. I do wonder how many non-readers are picking up on that. It's pretty in your face. Like, there's even a wheel behind her on that throne that she's made for herself. She's got this moon headdress. She's all dressed like a goth queen. And I love it. I love this interaction. So in this moment, Lanfear says that she sees some lose in Rand, which I found very interesting. Like, in that previous scene, he called her Lanfear, she called him lose. And here she's like, oh, is there some lose in there? Which obviously, that's what she wants. Luz is the one that she was in love with. And so, yeah, I just like this indication of the differences between Rand and his previous incarnation. Luz was manipulative. Like, what he's doing here, he's trying to bargain and manipulate her and control her. And this is full book spoilers here. One of the things that the reason Rand was able to win where Luz didn't, Rand says he was raised better. He had a better community around him. He had people that he could trust. He had family. He was raised by a village and raised in a village of people who gave him the right values. And here, seeing this, like, not that this level, you should try to win when negotiating or whatever with the Forsaken. Absolutely. But I just like this indication of who Luz was as a person. This still strikes me as really interesting. It's something different about Lanfear in the show versus the books. Here, Lanfear has told Rand that he has to stay away from Moiraine, and that is her condition, otherwise she's going to kill Moiraine. And, okay, she could be lying. That's absolutely, totally up there, but out there as a possibility. Forsaken, not exactly trustworthy. But I find it so interesting that she finds Moiraine a threat, because I don't feel like Lanfear in the show would. And I know that's because she wants to be the one who's controlling what Rand, what the dragon, what her Luz is doing. But I don't know, it just strikes me as interesting. The show has tried very hard, at least to me, to put parallels between Moiraine and Lanfear. Like, they had them in similar colors. They, had him choke Lanfear and then had him choke Moiraine. They've done a lot in the show to make me see them as opposite, right? Like, to see them as on the same level, to parallel them, I guess. And so it does make sense. I feel like, I don't know, I'm curious about it. I don't know. I was about to say, what I feel like is that Lanfear would just be like, you don't matter. You're not even a channeler anymore. Like, she would dismiss her as irrelevant. I'm curious about it. Like, when I say that, I don't mean that I think this is a mistake. It makes me incredibly curious about what it is that that Lanfear sees in Moiraine that makes her nervous. Okay, so I have talked about this before. This relationship between Nynaeve and Elayne is one of my favorite friendships in the books. They're just such a great odd couple, but they don't start out great. Like, there's actually, they don't start out this antagonistic at all. They start out fine, and then there's just like moments, especially in The Dragon Reborn, and then of course in Fires of Heaven, where they're not great. I'm just going to put this out there. I love these books. I really do. For a lot of the female friendships and the issues that I have with the way they are, I blame Robert Jordan and his lack of understanding about how female friendships work. Because he just has them being catty and snippy for reasons that don't hold water to me. Like, when I look at them, I'm like, ugh. Why? Okay, if it's just that they're in close proximity and traveling together that way, okay, that's fine. Why do we never see the men snipping at each other like that when they're in the same situation? No, we just don't, because I think he just misunderstood things about female friendships. And so he was writing what he thought he knew. And to me, when I read a lot of the cat fighting, and I'm going to use that word because that's what it often feels like, between the women, it just feels like middle school. Like, it doesn't feel like grown-ass women, like, especially grown-ass women during the apocalypse who have a lot more important things to think about. Like, it just doesn't. So, but this does. The conflict that that the show has put between these characters, it carries the roots of the show, where these characters are in conflict, especially during this time in the story. They are. Like, when Elayne and Nynaeve are alone in Falma, they're trying to rescue Egwene and trying to figure that out. They do bicker and they do fight. this feels more resonant to me than the way they fight in the show, or in the books, I should say. It's just, yeah. Why is Elayne here? Why does she care? Egwene's her friend. Why would Nynaeve trust her? Nynaeve doesn't know her. Nynaeve literally doesn't know her. So this resonates, and I like it. I like this beginning of their friendship, and I'm hoping, well, we see the roots of it start to take root. I'm really articulate. This is why I take notes. We see it start to take root in this episode, and I'm very much looking forward to what the show does with it. This is not a particularly important thing, but it is a difference from the books. This Rima is a yellow. I don't remember what her Aja is in the books, but, she's an Aes Sedai. She might have been a yellow. She knows about herbs. She's talking about how elderberry is very abundant in Tyr, and it's one of her favorite calming tonics, I think. And I think they even mentioned some other herbs here. In the books, the yellows don't really talk about herbs. They don't care about it. You shouldn't be using herbs. You have the ability to heal. Why are you thinking and talking about herbs? That seems to be their attitude. Whereas Rima seems to know about them. And this makes me like the yellows in the show more than I like them in the books. I really like the yellows. There's a couple of moments with the yellows where I cry because I think that they do just have a desire to heal. And when they see what Nynaeve can do, and they realize that they can learn from it and use what Nynaeve is able to do to the advantage of healing. Like, that's a moment where I know it's bizarre because I'm in Nynaeve's head and I feel bad for her because they're ignoring her, but I actually get choked up because I see the hope in these yellows and their desire to heal, and I love it. It makes me cry. But I get irritated with them when they just dismiss any form of non-magical healing. No, they should be looking into this and researching it, because what if you're not there? If you care about healing, you should want people to be able to be healed even when you're not around. Okay, so this scene here where Lanfear tries to shoot a fireball Liandrin tries to shoot a fireball at Lanfear. I love this. First of all, I think I even said this in my reaction. It recalled to mind that moment where she tries to use compulsion on Megiddian and just completely fails because she has no skill compared to the Forsaken. The Forsaken are just so far above anything that the Aes Sedai currently are. The other reason I liked this is just because it was an echo of that scene with Egwene and her, where Egwene, Egwene is more powerful. Egwene has more, I don't know if they said this in the show, but I think it's heavily hinted. Egwene is stronger than Liandrin, but Liandrin is trained. So when Egwene in episode 3 puts up that wall of fire when they're on that place with the smelting pot and there's no railings, whatever, Egwene puts up fire to stop Liandrin from walking through a door, and Liandrin, without even any breaking a sweat, just puts the fire out because Liandrin is trained where Egwene is not. Well, here, Lanfear, obviously much, much more powerful than Liandrin, but I don't think it's her power that makes her do that. I think it's just her skill. She just, you threw a fireball at me, I can just catch it because you know nothing compared to me. And I like this. I like the showing of levels of power and skill. Now, I think, again, most of the fandom is in agreement that they are going to reduce the amount of Forsaken in the show compared to the books. In the books, there's 13. I think the general consensus is that there's going to be 8 Forsaken in the show. So we know there's Lanfear, there's Ishi, there's going to be Megiddian, there's going to be Grendel, there's going to be a couple of useless boys, probably Asmo. Semirhage is one that I don't know if is going to make it. I kind of want Semi to make it because Semi is so interesting. She's terrifying, absolutely terrifying. I don't want to spend too much time with her, but she is so interesting. However, this scene made me wonder, like I did before when we saw Lanfear make that woman's lips seal shut, if Lanfear isn't replacing Semi. Because if you watch this scene, she is slowly killing Liandrin's son. She doesn't look at him once. The entire time she is watching Liandrin. It made me wonder if we are seeing a Semirhage here just reveling in the pain that she is causing. This is not physical pain, it's emotional pain, and she is just watching it happen. What do you think? Do you think Lanfear is going to be Semi? This, again, just a curiosity here. Lanfear says, okay, you swore your oaths to the dark, not to Ishamael, and then she says you can't take your oath back. It's impossible. Now, in the canon of the show, no one can walk in the dark so long that they can't return to the light. It's not impossible to revoke your oaths unless you've taken them on the oath rod. So, are we saying that these oaths were taken on the oath rod? That is the way it is in the books. You absolutely do. I'm just curious what the show is doing, because obviously the show is playing with some of the mechanics of the magic And the show also hasn't been as specific about the oaths and the way they work. Like, we've seen Moiraine take an oath on the oath rod, and I know that I personally have seen and caught moments where, oh yeah, Moiraine wanted to lie there and she couldn't, so she stopped. I don't know if it has been made perfectly clear to people who haven't read the books that when you take an oath on the oath rod, you physically can't break it. So I'm just curious what people who don't know about that particular mechanic are reading in that statement. And if there's going to be some specifics there that are shown. Suroth introduces her Ogier what do they call it in the show? Dakovale? Dakovale, I think they say. Dakoval is my known pronunciation. And I am just going to ask this again. I don't have the books with me here, actually, so I can't look it up. My sister has some of the books, but she only has the first 5, and she hasn't read them, and I can't really look these up. I am still convinced that in the books, and again, this is not even being upset with this in the show. This is not even a major change. It literally changes virtually nothing about the show. But I am fairly convinced that somewhere in the books it is said that an Ogier can't be owned, like according to the Seanchan hierarchy and way of doing things. Did I make that up? Did my brain just fill something in there because I know that the gardeners of the Death Watch guards, like when the Ogier Death Watch guards, they are not Dakoval? Did my brain just go, oh, no Ogier can be Dakoval? Is that what happened? Or is there something that I am remembering and I just can never find? I would never have guessed that we were getting tree singing. Now, to be fair to myself, or unfair, I don't know. I don't know what to call this. If you had asked me before, like, casting was announced and stuff, and I'm pretty sure I actually said it, I thought that Loyal himself would be cut. So the idea that we not only got Loyal, but we got tree singing, oh, I'm so excited to have seen this. Like, it's horrible the way it's done here. She demands it, and it happens, and this whole scene is just gross. Like, she demands it, and everybody laughs, and then when it happens, you see people start to be drawn in because it is truly a sacred and beautiful thing. And then Suroth gets upset because they're no longer laughing at him and they're no longer paying attention to her. It's no longer about her. It's now about Loyal, and it's about the tree singing, and it's about the sacred act. And she just tries to bring it back to her by giggling and clapping. And it's just so well done because it's horrible, but it's well done. Okay, so Alanna and her warders, we have Ivan and Maxim, think that Lan is a dark friend. And this makes sense. I mean, it doesn't if you know Lan. Obviously, not a dark friend. Absolutely not. But I still, like, it makes that scene better from a couple of episodes ago. I don't know if you remember, I was very, very frustrated with the line that Alanna said of Lan can't possibly know what this poem says, because why would she think he doesn't know? Like, literally, Lanfear's name is in the first line of the poem, so obviously he knew it was about Lanfear. Like, it didn't make any sense. So now I'm, like, retroactively interpreting that as her going, he can't possibly know what this is, because if he knows what this is, he would be doing something about it. Like, he wouldn't just be holding this poem to himself. The only reason for keeping this to himself is if he is a dark friend sworn to Lanfear. Like, that's a new interpretation of it. And I like it. It makes that scene from previous episodes better. I just do still think that scene could have been written a little bit differently so that it didn't read like she somehow didn't think, she somehow thought that Lan read a poem in which Lanfear's name was in the first line and was like, I don't know who this poem is about. Like, no. Okay, so we have here Loyal and Ingtar, or now Ingtar and Loyal, so they keep moving around. They are talking about the horn, and they are talking about Egwene being captured. And it's interesting here, you can see Loyal is mostly worried about freeing Egwene, and Ingtar is like, no, the horn is the only thing that matters. Now, that is very true to the books. I am very curious. I don't think it's going to be possible in only 2 episodes to show the level of obsession that Ingtar has as he does in the books. I don't think that's possible. They don't necessarily need to show the level of obsession, but because we have had our crew so spread out and we only have 8 episodes, I don't know that it's necessarily going to be possible to be as attached to him as we are in the show. So I'm wondering how the scenes are going to play out. Like, when Ingtar is revealed and, he gets that blessing from Rand, may you shelter in the palm of the Creator's hand, and well, that's an emotional moment. That's one of those moments in the books that is like, I'm sure I'm not alone in this. That's a, guaranteed cry, like guaranteed cry at that moment. I'm not that it's necessary for the show, obviously, but when Ingtar was in the cast, I assumed that we were going to be getting that. And I still think we might get it, but I'm wondering how much resonance it's going to have, because this is the first like inkling that I'm getting that from the show of how desperate he is to get the horn and to maybe redeem himself. Like, I don't know. I'm not seeing, I don't feel like I know him well enough. And I don't know that I am as nearly invested in his journey as I was in the book. So I don't know. What do you think? Have you found yourself drawn into his story? Like, I feel like his story just is sort of happening, not even side, like it's side of the side of the rest of the characters. So I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. Oh, okay. So again, we have this, Egwene can't touch the picture because she thought of it as a weapon. And I knew this was going to happen. Like, this is straight out of the books. Again, I think it's a bit different because she's not getting nausea. She's getting pain. And again, serious props to Madeline Madden, the way she acts this. Like, it's just so visceral and evocative. And I feel it. Like, it is, I can't watch it. So it's brutal. It is a change. Like I said, we're not getting nausea, we're getting physical pain. And I think this is a smart change for the show. And I can't look at this scene anymore. This scene also brutal, but I just wanted to highlight it because we have Egwene here in a cage, and then we pull out and there's this music playing, and you see just people walking by on the street. Like, I don't have book thoughts about this. This just scene, even like getting this clip, and like it just happened again when I don't even have the sound playing. I got goosebumps. Just the way this is, everything about that. Like, she's just looking at the world from underneath. And then we see, these people just living their lives. And this is something in the books, and they say it in the show, I think in the last episode. The Seanchan, once you say their oaths, it doesn't matter. Like, you can go on living your life. And so people do. People in Falma, people in all over the place that the Seanchan conquer, just live their lives. They just walk by, and somewhere beneath them, somewhere in the kennels, are people living like this. And they don't care because they said their oaths. They can just live their lives. And it's, the scene. This episode is stellar. I just had to put this scene in here because, okay, we have the Shamael here in Egwene's, or in Rand's dream, and then Lanfear shows up and she says, "Is she, dear?" And she sends him away. And I feel like this is just a call out to the fans. This is like, yeah, we see you. His name is Shamael, but we all call him Ishi. We know that that's what we call him. Everybody calls him Ishi. And I love it. And the way she said it was just so, "Ishi, dear." It's delightful. Again, I think I said this in my reaction, but here we have Lanfear send Rand into Egwene's dream. Is this Egwene's first journey into Tel'aran'rhiod? I hope so. Like, it is. I'm pretty sure, but I love and hate it. I love that this is her first glimpse, and that this thing that the Seanchan are doing to her has somehow gotten her into this area that is going to be a huge area of strength for her. Like, dreaming is going to be one of her main sources of power, right? And so, I mean, granted, she might have, like, if wherever she had been, I'm sure Lanfear would have brought her here, but Lanfear specifically brought her here because I think she is in on Ishi's plan to get Rand to Falma, right? So she wants all that to happen, so she's brought him here. But I don't know. I hate that this is, like, this horrible captivity is what introduces her to Tel'aran'rhiod, because that is one of her most, it is one of Egwene's most powerful domains. But I also love that something like her ability to dream can be born out of something this horrible. And then we just get this perfect distillation of one of the best parts of the Nynaeve Elayne dynamic, where Nynaeve just bulldozes like, "We're not going." Like, she doesn't really word herself correctly, and Elayne explains it calmly and rationally so that everyone can understand, and it's great. Okay, so this isn't necessarily a book thought, but a lot of people commented on this, so I have a question for you. For those of you who say, doesn't everybody butter both sides of the bread? Okay, when he said, "I butter both sides of the bread," okay, well, first, I'll tell you, when I butter a sandwich, Okay, if these are your two, oh, where's my hand? If these are your two slices of bread, right, I will butter this piece of bread and I will butter this piece of bread on the front. That's normal to me. When he said I butter both sides of the bread, what I thought he meant, and tell me if this is what everybody does, because I thought he meant, okay, here's one slice of bread. I butter the front and I butter the back. And then here's the other slice of bread and I butter the front and I butter the back of this slice. That's both slices of each piece of bread. Is that what you mean when you say, doesn't everybody butter both sides of the bread? Because then are you like holding on to bread with butter on it? Like on the side that your hands are touching? Because that's what I thought he meant. And I was wondering if that would make a sandwich better. And here, Moiraine pulls rank. I am the oldest Damodred. I'm the eldest Damodred. This is my house. You only live here because I say it's okay, blah, blah, blah. Moiraine is not coming off well here. And I think I said this in my reaction, but I wonder if and when. I think if is the given. I think they have to. But I'm wondering when we are going to get a more thorough explanation of why she is doing this. Because Moiraine is she is long-term. She is thinking the end of the world. She is trying to save the world. If she doesn't do that, then her sister, her nephew, everybody that she knows and loves, people that she's never met before, they will all suffer under the rule of the Dark One and the Forsaken. So she is not, I was about to say she doesn't care about what's in front of her. That's not true. She cares, but she can't. She has to put other things ahead. She has to make a priority of her long-term goals. And so if you happen to get caught in the crossfire in the meantime, sorry, there's nothing she can do about it. I mean, there is, but they're not really. She has to prioritize winning the last battle over being nice to her sister and her nephew. And I mean, I don't think she has to be as cruel as she's being here, but I do think there is an element where we are going to, she's becoming very, very unlikable. I like her because I know. And I wonder if the show is going to give the people who don't know, because they haven't read the books, that insight so that they can keep liking her. Because without it, the way she's treating her sister and her nephew is just, it's not. She looks bad. I just liked this. She got a crown of swords. It's daggers or knives. I don't know. It's really cool. It's the way they're visualizing the magic. I really, really like it. I love it. Mwah. Okay, so we are getting Logain beginning to teach Rand. Now, there's a couple of things here. Logain can see these weaves. He can clearly see them. This is a change from the books. In the books, when you are gentle or stilled, you can still sense the source, but you can't see anybody else doing weaves. So this is a change to the magic system. Not mad at it. It's fine. But okay. That actually means that he can be a somewhat viable teacher. In the books, he wouldn't be able to be. He wouldn't be able to see anything that Rand's doing. Also, have to say, I do like, this is the first indication we're getting of how strong Rand is. We've seen lots of indications of how strong Nynaeve is. No indication of how strong Egwene and Elayne are. We just have heard about it, but we've seen Nynaeve's strength. This is the first indication we've seen of Rand's, and I do like it. I like that even with the taint going in there, and you can see the black going through it, how bright white he gets. So we get it, and you see Logain begin to be oh. Okay, so maybe you're it. Maybe you're it. That's too much power. That's too much power. The other thing I wanted to talk about in this scene, he says, you're surrendering to it. Don't, you gotta grab it. Now, I have made an entire video, or at least wrote an article, I don't know, about gender essentialism and the way it's written in the magic system of the world. I don't like it. I actually thought up until literally the last book that Nynaeve was going to be the proof that the way the magic system, the gender essentialism of the way that the men and women both engage with the magic was going to be proven wrong. That Nynaeve was going to show that women don't have to surrender, and therefore men also don't have to dominate. And that didn't happen. So I was that was one of those, I thought that's what we were doing with Nynaeve's character. Okay, but what's interesting here is, okay, he does better when he seizes it, but he's able to grab it by surrendering. And okay, that's different. In the books, you can't. A man cannot surrender to Saidin. He will get lost in it. He will not be able to do anything with it. I don't even think he'd be able to touch it by trying to surrender. And I don't think a woman, in the way the magic system is written in the books, would be able to grab saidar, which is the female half. So I'm wondering if they are changing that for the show. I'm wondering if we are going like that. That was what I said when I talked about Leandrin saying they would have you believe there's only one way to become an Aes Sedai, one way to channel. They're wrong. I'm wondering if we are going to see women seizing the way that men do. But they'll still be seizing saidar, but they'll be seizing it instead of surrendering to it. And if we're going to see men surrendering instead of seizing, like it's almost a semantic thing. However, I don't like it. Like the way it's, for women to use power, they must surrender to power. For men to use power, they must dominate power. It is so, I don't like it. It's just so, this is the box. Women are surrendering, men are dominating. That's the box you live in. Yeah, I don't like it. So there you go. My thoughts. This reunion between Matt and Rand. Oh, it just warmed my heart. I love it. I love Donal's portrayal of Matt. Barney Harris, great. I never got attached to him, just like I said a million times. I knew he was going to be gone, so I just never, he was Barney Harris. I was never looking at him and seeing Matt. But I am looking at Donal and I am seeing Matt, and it's perfect. And these two have great chemistry together, and I just, yay! Okay, we are back to this. Feels better when we are complete, she says here. And then we see again this visualization of the link between them that looks like a leash. And it works. And you can see it in Renna's face, though, where she feels better. She does feel complete. And it's just, I'm assuming we are going to hear this season, like the end of this season, why, right? That she actually is a person who can channel. She just doesn't know it. And so the fact that this is the only way that she is able to channel is through this link. And that gives her the satisfaction, this word of being complete. That is like literally a word from the books that they're using here. I can't wait for that revelation. Like, I can't wait. I also can't wait for the picture to get shoved in her face and I just, vengeance. I want vengeance. But yeah, this is very well done. It is horrible to watch, but it is very, very well done. Okay. This scene, brutal. Egwene loves this tree. It's the one thing that gives her comfort. Renna knows this, and then it still has her burn it. But what intrigued me watching this, just as a book person, like aside from the brutality of this scene, as someone who's read the books, what intrigues me, you see Egwene here channeling fire. Fire is one of those powers that is it's fire and earth. I think that men are strongest in, and women are strongest in water and air. Again, gender essentialism. But yes, Egwene, however, is unnaturally, or not unnaturally, that's the wrong word. She is strong in fire, which is uncommon for women. And so the fact that this is something that we see her do here with the Seanchan, the Aes Sedai would not necessarily be training you to use a lot of fire weaves because all of the Aes Sedai are women. So it is very unlikely that any of them are particularly strong in fire. But the Seanchan want you to be strong in fire because they want you to blow shit up. And so they are training her. And yeah, the fact that they are seeing things in Egwene that the people who are supposed to be on her side, the Aes Sedai, don't see, that is rough. Renna is so mad that this moment of bonding between her and Egwene did not result in Egwene completely surrendering to her power, just to use that term again, that she starts physically kicking her. Change from the books. I don't think I ever saw a Suldam in the books physically harm a Damani. They always use the Idam to do it, or the Adam, or whatever it's called in the show, to do it. But this, to me, was so, yeah, this was perfect for the show, because she wants to have control. She wants power. And the fact that moment, that meant so much to her, that of being complete, apparently did not mean the same thing to her pet, is enough to have her physically lash out. And I want to punch her. I really want to punch her. Here we have Matt and Rand telling each other that they're not better off without each other. Like, Rand has told everybody he's dead. And so Matt is like, we're not better off without you. And then Rand's like, yeah, you left us thinking that we'd be better off without you. We're not better off without you either. They're good friends. I like this friendship. It's good. And I've said it before. I think the show is doing such interesting things with Matt, given that I'm pretty sure all of this is not what they originally planned, because they've had to rewrite his story given what happened with Barney Harris. So I'm amazed that they have come up with something so interesting with him here. Same thoughts here. This interaction between Matt and Min, I would strongly doubt that this was part of their initial, like the show writer's initial plan, because I don't think Matt and Min really interact in the books, like, up until the end. Like towards the end, when Min becomes Doom Speaker, is that what the Doomsayer of the Seanchan? Of course, Matt is married to a slaver and all of that. So then they interact a bit, and in my headcanon, they interact a lot in the Outrigger books that I have written in my mind. But this story, I think that the show writers have made for them is so good. It makes both of them more interesting characters. I think Min, in particular, at this point, Min is, I don't want to say she's a dark friend, but she is working with a Shamael, like unwillingly, completely unwillingly. She trusted the wrong Aes Sedai, who put her in a position where she, like, who says no when you have one of the Forsaken? Like, he would kill you, right? Or at least that's her opinion. He would kill her. So she's trying to get out of doing what a Shamael wants her to do in this moment. And it's compelling. And I don't know if I want to say it's more compelling than her story in The Great Hunt, but I don't know that Min is entirely necessary in the story of The Great Hunt. Like, she doesn't really aid with the rescue very much. That is mostly Nynaeve and Elayne. Min does help guide them, but that, like, they had a Soldam held by the neck, so they didn't necessarily need Min in that moment. So I don't know. This is a very compelling story that they've written for Min, and I like it a lot. And Matt is so compelling here. Again, a lot of people have said this. Matt doesn't really become an interesting character until book 3. He's very interesting here. I don't know what the original plan was for him, given that everything probably had to be scrapped and started from scratch when Barney Harris chose not to return. So I don't know what I'm curious to know what their original plan was, but I love what they did. And this side of Moiraine, her trying. So I talked about her in that previous scene looking bad. This is a moment of her attempting to be endearing, and she is very, very endearing in this moment. She's apologizing, she's complimenting on his sandwiches, she's telling him he's going to be a good king, and then they hug. And like, watch when she hugs, she grabs him. Moiraine is lost here. Like, she's in a situation where she is trying to save the world. She was trying to save the world by protecting Rand. Rand no longer can be around her. She doesn't know what to do. She's frantically still trying to stick to her mission because she will not let go of it at all. And she's flailing. I don't know. I really like this scene. I don't know where it's going plot-wise. Like, I still have very strong suspicions about Barthanes being a dark friend. But seeing her be vulnerable, apologizing in this moment of quiet while, like, she's done the thing that she needed to do. She wrote a letter to Swan. She can't go to Rand. Okay, she has a moment to breathe, and she uses that to apologize and then get comfort from him, like to feel the physical love of family. I don't know. I'm really enjoying Moiraine's storyline. And here, Matt not going with Rand. He is watching Rand leave. I think we are building the seeds for something about Matt's character that is true in the show or in the books, but it's an always true thing where Matt in the books will just always go to help his friends. It's just part of his character. And it's one of the things that I've said I kind of miss about Matt is that Matt was always a good guy. He was always, like, he would think that he's not. He lies to himself just as much as Nynaeve does. And he would, like, I'm not going to help you carry the apple brandy, but then he'll help you carry the apple brandy. Like, he will always be there for his friends. That's a part of his character from the beginning of the books. And you don't really see it fully until we can be in his head, right? I kind of miss that. And yet I think the show is smart. And I think the show is building on, again, having lost Barney Harris and having to rewrite his story. They're building this part of his narrative where, okay, he's staying behind here. I bet you we're going to see some negative consequences of this. And this is going to be the root of that part of him where he's going to be like, I'm never going to leave my friends again. When my friends need me, I'm always going to be there. I don't care. I don't care if the Forsaken tell me. I don't care if somebody tells me I'm going to stab my best friend. I'm always going to be there for my friends. If I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. I think we are seeing the roots of that aspect of Matt's character. Because Matt, weirdly enough, one of the most trustworthy characters in the books. When Matt says he's going to do something, He does it. There's not a lot of characters that you can say that about. And I don't mean that to mean that the other characters are bad. It's just often the other characters, like Perrin, will say he's going to do something and then realize, oh, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe, oh, is this more important? I think maybe, oh, but did my wife get kidnapped? Maybe I should go get my wife instead. Like, other characters get distracted from the thing that they said they were going to do. Matt won't. Matt, if he says he's going to do something, you cannot distract him from doing it. He's going to do it. And again, like I said, I think we're seeing the roots of that in this moment, in this part of the story. First thing I thought when I saw Rand see Lan here was, ooh, okay, we're going to get some training. I'm hoping we get to see Lan and Rand fight with those swords that they both have on their backs. Come on. Okay. Next episode, please, give it to me. I just need to see it, please. So Nynaeve is trying to help here, and she can't because she can't control it. Watch how she says it, right? She can't really look people in the eye as she says, I can't control it like that. She is feeling vulnerable, but she says it. Because this is a moment, right? She's willing to be exposed as being less than the others in this moment. She doesn't do this in the tower. In the tower, when she can't figure out those weaves for filtering the water, she drinks dirty water instead. She will not let people see her fail. She tries when she's alone. Here, she doesn't. And yet, again, seeing that burst of power come out of her, that's Nynaeve. She does not have control. She doesn't have control of her emotions. She doesn't have control of her channeling. I really liked what Rima said to her here about how you don't have to decide to help people. You just help them. You just do it. And what struck me about this moment is Rima is teaching her how to channel very differently than Liandrin did, very differently than anybody else did. Other people were trying to teach her procedures, right? Procedures to channel. And then Liandrin tried to access that part of her that is strong and has that lack of control, her emotions that have no control. Rima is trying to access the part of Nynaeve that wants to help. And it worked. And I found that interesting, seeing this. I don't know. The thought I had is, oh, I wish Rima had been in the tower. Like, Rima would have been such a good teacher. Maybe she would be further along if Rima had been there. Of course, I know that's not possible because of the story that we have to tell, but Rima was teaching her. I had said that I thought Liandrin had been doing a really good job teaching. Like, Liandrin had been trying to get at Nynaeve's motivation, right? And instead of trying to get her to do something, Liandrin was trying to get at the why she would want to do it. But Liandrin doesn't fully understand why she would want to do it. Rima does. Rima is a vision of what Nynaeve would be or will be in the future. And I think that she is the perfect teacher for Nynaeve. Too bad this episode happens. This is one of the scenes that getting it made me cry. So Rima gives Nynaeve her rings. And I said that Rima is a vision of what Nynaeve will be in the future, and she really is. Here, Rima is without hesitation sacrificing herself, and that is something that Nynaeve does in the books all the time. We see it in The Great Hunt, where like they're trying to. I think they're trying to open Suldam's or Damani's collar, and Nynaeve just casually thinks, "All right, I've already figured out." If they see us, I will make a noise so that Elayne can escape. Okay, good. And she doesn't think about like, okay, I'm going to sacrifice myself and Elayne will be able to escape and this is a big deal that I'm willing to. No, she just does it. Or another time when Moghedien is torturing her, Nynaeve tries to get Moghedien to kill her so that her death will alert Elayne that Moghedien is there. And she doesn't think about it as a sacrifice. When her friends are in danger, she just thinks about them. She doesn't think about herself. And that's what Rima is doing here. Rima is thinking, probably not just about these girls. She's probably also thinking, we got to get the information about Liandrin to the tower. These girls know about it. We got to get these rings back to the tower. Like, she's not thinking about her sacrifice in this moment. She's thinking about what she is sacrificing for. And that is what Nynaeve does. And so this is probably the most inspirational thing that Nynaeve could see as far as an Aes Sedai is concerned. I've said it in one of my earliest videos about Nynaeve. One of the issues I think between Nynaeve and Moiraine is that Moiraine is big picture. I think Moiraine can see in the books anyway, can see the up close thing. She can see the suffering that is immediately around her. But if dealing with the suffering that is immediately around her will interfere with her long-term plans, she's going to go for the long-term plans. They are more important. And she's right. But Nynaeve can't. Nynaeve can't see past the suffering that is immediate around her. And so one of the things Nynaeve needs to do is grow past. Like, that's a thing that she's going to have to mature into. I think seeing someone like Rima do the same sort of self-sacrificing thing that Nynaeve does instinctively, like, you see it in her face. She's floored by it. I wonder if anybody will remind Nynaeve of this, of her seeing this courage in Rima being so remarkable to her when she does it. Like, if anybody's going to be like, hey, you remember how remarkable you thought this woman was? You're doing that. Like, I don't know. I just wanted to point this out. This is a very small thing, but it's just a difference from the books. In the books, when the Seanchan show up in a street, people just decide to be elsewhere. They don't scream and run away like this. They just sort of wander off, right? They go somewhere else. The streets do end up empty, but it's not like this. It's not this chaotic fleeing. I think this is a smart change for the show because, again, people just quietly walking away does not give the sense of terror that description does in the books. This is just a case of show, don't tell, and I think it's cool. I didn't think of this until this started happening. This is so interesting. Rima's fighting style. Rima is a yellow. She is a healer. She uses her knowledge of the body in her fighting. Like, look at what she does to this woman. She does some sort of weave that causes like boils or something to show up on her skin, and it is awful and it is painful. It's also interesting that she only goes after the Suldam. I am curious. I don't know if they'll ever explain this, but it is curious to me, or I am curious to know if she understands that the Damane feel the pain. Because I think she knows that the Damane are slaves, right? So she doesn't want to harm them. They're slaves. But she might not realize that the Damane are also feeling the pain. I don't know. I'm curious. This scene, this editing back and forth of Rima and Elayne and Nynaeve and Egwene being choked. This was just stellar. I don't necessarily have book thoughts on this. It's just stellar storytelling, and it's brutal to watch. It was brutal. Like, I cried when I got these clips. I don't even want to look at it while I'm recording right now. It's gut-wrenching, and it is, I don't know, it's just excellent storytelling. This weave, this contortion weave, that actress, or I'm going to guess stunt performer doing that, that's amazing. This is, again, just her showcasing her understanding of the human body to do this. It's brutal. Like, the look of rage on her face, you see, like, and then watch the Damane. She is feeling this. Oh, and then this moment where Rima is collared, and you see Elayne literally put her hand over Nynaeve's mouth to stop her from crying out, because we can't let the Seanchan know that we're here. And then they hold hands and comfort each other. Again, that we're seeing the roots of their friendship. Their friendship, I say it a million times now, it's one of my favorites. One of my favorites because, not just because they are opposites. It's not just because of that. Not just because they are a good, like, odd couple, buddy cop, whatever. But it's partially because they see each other. They see the truth in each other. They see the strength in each other. Like, there are a few times in the books where Nynaeve will think, oh, Egwene or Elayne thinks that she's blah, 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 whatever. She doesn't see the strength. Like, I know that she's strong. Or Elayne will think, Nynaeve thinks she's a coward, but she's one of the bravest people that I know. Like, they think these things about each other. I think if Robert Jordan had understood female friendships a little better, he would have had them saying that, because that's a thing that women do. Like, we encourage each other. When I think one of my friends is awesome, I tell them that they're awesome. I'll tell them why I think they're awesome. Like, that would have been a thing, I think. But that's one of the reasons I really appreciate their friendship. So this scene, though, this whole sequence, this whole final sequence with that way that it's edited and told, this is one of the best examples of visual storytelling I've ever seen. And then Egwene touches the picture. And I think in my reaction I said, the unbreakable Egwene has been broken. And I do think that they broke her in this moment, but I do not think she is broken forever. I think, I don't know if this is true. I have no medical knowledge, but they say that when you break a bone and it heals back stronger. I think that our Egwene is going to come back even stronger. I think that's what we see here in this moment, where you see her looking up. She heard that Moiraine has given up, has yielded, and you see her in this moment. No, I'm not. I refuse. I am not going to yield. This is a hard story to watch, but it is so well done. So yeah, those are my book nerdy thoughts on this episode. I try to usually end on an upbeat note, but I'm still, like, even watching just the clips was brutal for me. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this episode in the comments below. And if you like my content and you want to support me, I do have a Patreon that is also linked in the description below. To my patrons, thank you so much for your support. It really does. It gives me a lot of motivation. It means the world to me. So thank you so much. And with that, I am going to end this here. So please like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.